6 days from now at dawn, shots will ring out, and the first kills of the 1993 gun season will hit the ground. To enrich the hunting experience, we, at Sunday night, offer the following suggestion. Check your target and confirm its status as a deer. They are large, four-legged animals with white tails and can be easily confused with a fellow hunter walking upright and wearing blaze orange.
Hey, Chris, what do you got for us this week, huh?
What have I got for you? I got San Francisco by 16.5 at Tampa Bay. Take the Niners.
No, I mean for the show, for Sunday night, huh?
Ah, man, don't bother me with this crap. I am 300 down. Hey, yeah, Ben. Give me the Jets. You bet. I'm going to take the points. You're right. Hey, can you hang on? Yeah, shake?
Yeah, you bet.
Yeah. Just hang on. Just 1 second. I'll be right with you, babe. Yeah. Hey, boxcars, come on. Yeah, the Raiders, too.
Jeez.
Okay, come on, all of it.
Hey.
All right. Yep, the Raiders. Oh, yeah, they're locked. Okay.
Chris, I don't mean to press you or anything, but we got a show to do this week, you know. Come on, what have you got?
Come on, what do I got? I got Houston minus 8.5 at Cincinnati, the LA Raiders minus 3.5 at home, and the New York Jets by 4 at Indianapolis.
You know, I can't count you for anything, can I?
Come on, take the Packers by 5.5. Down at New Orleans Day, it's a lock. Come on, they're going to roll. Call it in. Cut for a buck? That.
From Platteville, where the big M means men, it's Sunday night with our house band, Triplet Feel, and our guest, Dick Piper. And now, Platteville's celibate equivalent to Luke Perry, it's Todd Allball.
Thank you very much, Tom Vandenhaven in the band over there. Is it Vandenhaven? I'm sorry. Vandenhaven. You know,
Vandenhaven.
Only the fifth show, and I still haven't got his name right. You know, Vandenhaven and the band over there. Nice job, guys. Wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
Even without a drummer this week, our drummer John Krinke taking the weekend off. Went down to East Dubuque, I guess. But he'll be back next week, I'm sure. Anyway, hey, nice to see everybody, and let's see. I can almost count our audience on one hand tonight out here in the studio. But hey, we're glad to have you. We're happy to have everybody here, and glad to have you, the home viewer, as well. You know, I'm a little confused here. I picked up the paper this morning. Did you see this? I'm not sure. A big drug bust out in Los Angeles, California over the weekend. A big drug bust out there. Apparently now there was crack found, cocaine, LSD, marijuana, heroin, and that was just during the River Phoenix autopsy. Ooh. So I think right there, you know. Michael Jackson, did you see this? I'm not sure. Michael Jackson in the news this week, and he announced that he is canceling the last leg of his Dangerous tour, the worldwide tour, I guess. He's also going to be seeking help for his addiction to painkillers. That's right. And when asked why painkillers, he said, well, quite frankly, River Phoenix had the market on all the rest of the drugs. So you know, right there, it's kind of hard to find anything else. Good old Michael Jackson. I guess Jackson's showed up in London this morning, over at the London airport over there, and the Center for Linguistic Studies in Oslo, Norway, has determined now if you have a problem understanding a person with a British accent, it's probably because the English people speak in italics. So I think if you read your books, you see that italics. That's why, I guess. Yeah. Now, I don't know. Do you remember this? Remember this about, I don't know, last month or a month or two ago? Pop star Madonna. She was over in Puerto Rico doing a big concert over there. Now, while she was on the stage, apparently she put the Puerto Rican flag between her legs. That's right. And in a related story, of course, Puerto Ricans are going to the polls today to decide if they want to become an independent nation, if they want statehood, or to continue with their Commonwealth status. Also, another item on the ballot is, do you want to change the scent of the flag? So I think right there. Change the scent. Anyway, when asked whether or not he would be in favor of statehood for Puerto Rico, United States Senator Bob Packwood said, no, I don't think so. He said, I much prefer the U.S. Virgin Islands, if you know what I mean. Oh, good old Senator Bob Packwood. Anyway, speaking of votes in Congress this week, if you're those people that follow the votes out there, this week Congress will vote on NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement. If you haven't been following this, like our own Troy Everson, the North American Free Trade Agreement involves this big trade agreement. Our producer Clark Gilson's talking on the phone, I guess. You're running up that AT&T bill, Clark. Anyway, the North American Free Trade Agreement is this big thing that will set up a free trade area between Mexico, Canada, and the United States. Free trade, no tariffs, and it's a big trade agreement. And already now there's a hitch in it, already a hitch in NAFTA. Apparently Canada says it won't sign unless it gets to become the 52nd state in the United States. So, wow, that was a rather long ways to go, wasn't it? kind of a long ways. Anyway, of course, the big debate this week between Ross Perot and Vice President Al Gore over NAFTA. Perot said some pretty bad things about Mexico this week in the debate. Now, in response, Mexico is calling Perot, quote, a lizard-faced dwarf. That's right. Oh, come on now, really. Any country that produces Hervé Villachez, have they really got room to talk? I don't know, deplane. Welcome to Fantasy Island. Yeah, anyway. But now I'm sure you've all heard, of course, about James Bobbitt, the man who had his private parts cut off by his wife after he allegedly had forced her to have sex, of course. Now, Mr. Bobbitt has been cleared of all wrongdoing. He's been cleared, nothing wrong. But apparently Mrs. Bobbitt was penalized 15 yards for clipping. So right there, I think that's good. Chelsea Clinton, news from the White House. Chelsea Clinton, that's right. She'll be dancing in the Christmas classic, the Nutcracker Ballet, of this Christmas holiday season. And I guess the president called one of his old friends, invited one of his old friends to come and watch the Nutcracker with him in Washington, but Mr. Bobbitt declined. Ouch, that's kind of bad. Anyway, what else? Baseball news. That's right, a little sporting news here. Baseball news this week. I'm not sure if you saw this or not. Bud Selig, the owner of the Milwaukee Brewers, is now considering seriously becoming the permanent commissioner of baseball. That's right. And if he does, his daughter, Wendy, will be taking over the Milwaukee Brewers, all the organizational things, whatever. I guess if his daughter takes over, the things won't change that much. The only thing that will change is that the team will be going on strike every 28 days. So, you know, that's what happened. And finally, after a rather lengthy monologue tonight, finally, the Playtex company announced today it had a terrible year financially. Absolutely terrible. Just not good business at all. Playtex said they'll be finishing 1993 in the red. So right there, you know. Anyway, coming up tonight on the big program, we have Associated Press columnist and a reporter, a worldwide reporter, Dick Piper will be on the show tonight, and also the Sunday Night Band. And now I'll give him a big hand and say hello to our friends over there in the corner, Tom Vandenhoven and the Sunday Night Band over there. That's right. Hey, how you doing? Tom Vandenhoven. And Troy Everson joins us once again this week. How you doing?
I'm doing fine, thanks.
Well, that's good.
Well, you're really on the sexist comments tonight, aren't you?
It's just a little joke.
Well, I know, but some people wouldn't think so.
Well, you know, that's why you're not the host. Anyway.
Well.
So what's new with you? Have you had a good weekend? I haven't talked to you.
Yes, I did.
Today. What's new?
I went home for the weekend.
Really?
Got out of Platteville. Went home and stayed for the first time since August 5th.
Really?
My mother was happy to see
What's new
us.
in Baroqua?
Well, my mother's suffering empty nest syndrome.
Oh, all mothers do, don't they?
Yeah, I guess.
Your mom's a sweet person.
She cried 8 times this weekend.
Are you serious?
Well, of course, I didn't
Are
help
you just
matters
saying that
at all.
because of the show, or are you serious?
No, she cried 8 times. I didn't help matters at all. Today, it was packing things up.
Uh-huh.
What are you going to do tonight, Mom, when nobody's around? And things like that. And she'd start crying again. So I don't know. How do you help a mother through empty nest syndrome?
I don't know. Tell her to turn on the TV. Is there a show called Empty Nest? I don't know.
Right. Hey,
What?
when you're doing your monologue, I was thinking about Mr. Bobbitt.
Uh-huh.
I think they should have thrown him in jail.
Why?
You know why they didn't?
Why?
They didn't have any room in the penal system.
That's probably true.
Well, I know.
Yeah.
So anyway, well,
So-
now I suppose I'm one of those sexist people
Well, I
too.
suppose now.
Can I join college Republicans with you?
Oh, now
I'm
that-
kidding. No, I shouldn't.
that-
I shouldn't.
that's
Now that's an
funny.
ongoing joke with Todd and I because I'm very
You
much
can
a
say that
Democrat.
because we're friends, I guess.
I can say that because we're acquaintances. So anyway, anyway, you are a member of college Republicans and I'm not.
That's right. That's right, and that
Okay.
has nothing to do with this show.
You're right.
Nothing
You're
to do-
right.
I try to keep this show bipartisan, you know? Anyway, so did you see now, have you been following this? I guess not. We talked before the show and you didn't know what NAFTA was. North American Free Trade Agreement. The big trade agreement between Canada, Mexico, and the United States.
No, I have no
Free
idea.
trade all over.
I
If it
trust
goes
President
through.
Clinton.
And he's doing a good job. But
As is Tommy Thompson. I can't believe they're
That's
getting
right. They're
along.
getting it's a kind of a bipartisan thing. They're working on this together. Past presidents, both Democrat and Republican, trying to get this thing through.
I think that's great.
Congress will vote on it now. Apparently, Congress will vote on this week, whether it'll go through or not. On Wednesday is the big vote. And I guess now, if it doesn't, there are armed militiamen, Mexican militiamen on the border right now, just over the Rio Grande River, getting ready to attack Texas if it does not go through. And here now, through the magic of TV, the satellite TV, our exclusive Sunday night spy cameras have gotten, I've set up on the Mexico-Texas border, and they're ready to show us now if we can punch that. This is what will happen now if NAFTA does not go through. Russ, our fine director, and roll this, please. Here we go at the border here. This is what will happen.
Let's go to Santo Poco. They'll be glad to see us. ¡Ay, vámonos! ¡Pero una pachanga loca, muchachos!
Oh, look at that. Oh, it's 4 horses. Oh, they're coming to get us. Past that North American Free Trade Agreement. Holy mackerel, holy smokes, it's going to be hot.
What if they're bringing a flag with them?
I'm not sure. Brian says smell of tequila or something. Anyway, yeah, so the big NAFTA Free Trade Agreement this week coming up, so wow.
Well, not to bring any political views in, but I sure hope it goes through.
What?
Not to bring any political views in, but I sure hope it goes through.
Well, me too. Because back in the old days, they didn't have those kind of agreements, did they?
Why, we used to vote down the old town hall, didn't we? Why, they'd open the door and they'd say, polls are open. We'd all go and we'd vote, wouldn't we? We'd check whatever ballot we wanted. And that's what we did. We did that often, didn't we? I'd say, what was it, I'm going to say September, October, maybe even November we did that, didn't we? I don't know.
Oh, boy.
Did you have a good Armistice Day?
I did have a good Armistice Day. What did you do for Armistice Day?
Well, it was Diversity Day on campus, too.
That's right.
I celebrated Diversity Day.
Well, that's good.
Lots and lots of activities in the Student Center. It was nice.
It was. I'm glad to see
A lot of work went into it.
Glad to see a lot of things going on like that. And, of course, I guess anything coming up on campus this week we should pass along? Got a couple of seconds here.
Well, I can't think of anything right off the bat.
All right, well, the basketball team opens up on the road this weekend. The Pioneers over at down to Columbus, Ohio. Kevin O'Connor and I will be going down there. 91 FM, 90.
Skipping classes again?
90.5 on the dial, and you can tune in this Friday and Saturday down at Columbus, Ohio. Good luck to the Pioneers. Of course, they beat the Latvian team last week here at home. And the Pioneer football team also closed out their season, as did the volleyball team. And we want to wish both of those, or congratulate both of those teams for a job well done. There was a math competition on campus this week, high school math competition. Ithaca won that.
Ithaca did.
Yep, Ithaca.
Ithaca, the town of 30 people and 10 dogs.
Hey, don't pick on Ithaca. That's close to my hometown. My dad taught at Ithaca one time. Anyway, we got to get going. The next
Did he
thing
have a license?
What?
Did he have a teaching license?
Yes, he did.
One of the few.
Anyway,
Well, this doesn't go to Ithaca because they don't have cable. Go ahead.
Anyway, we have a little segment now we've entitled Poetry with Jeff. We hope you enjoy it now. A little Poetry with Jeff, our very own Jeff Perry. Roll it, Russ and Allison. Go ahead.
It's time for some more poetry with Jeff.
Good evening. Tonight I'll be reading from the 1950s rock classic, Lollipop. Lollipop, lollipop. Oh, lolly, lolly, lolly. Lollipop. Ba-dum. Bum. Pum.
A little poetry with Jeff. Yes, indeed.
I guess so.
Anyway,
Gonna fix
what
my
we
mic
got,
there.
we got anything around here that's fun? I thought we had just a second. I thought we had some.
Well, I'm fun.
Oh, you are fun. Here we go. I've been waiting to do this.
You aren't gonna. No, come on. No, I got stuff to do. You.
I've been waiting to do this. Oh my God.
Two can play at that.
All right. We'll be back with more Sunday night in a minute. So stay tuned. We got Dick Piper coming up. We'll be back in just a minute. All right.
Hey, thanks to these airbags here, this job is now a piece of cake, Claire.
But Vince...
Yeah, I'll tell you something, partner. I just might stick around a few more years.
But Vince...
No more dashboard du jour or Vince under glass, huh?
But Vince...
Look
Even with airbags, Vince, you still got to remember to buckle your safety belt.
Now you tell me.
You could learn a lot from a dummy. Buckle your safety belt.
You're gonna be better than me, Christopher. I can see it in your eyes. No one wasting your life on something you hate. Not for my son. You're going to college. I can see it in your eyes.
I can see it in your eyes. You are going to do something important.
Christopher, time for work.
We've always had the dreams. Now we have the means. Please, support the United Negro College Fund.
And we are back. Thank you very much, and welcome to our welcome. Thanks for staying with us Sunday night. Anyway, I am very pleased to have our first guest this evening join us. He was an investigative reporter for over 30 years, and he's got some wonderful, wonderful stories to tell. He's also a student here at the University of Wisconsin-Platteville. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for a huge round of applause for Dick Piper, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, Dick, how you doing? Good. We'll sit down there. There's your mic, and clip that right on. Nice to have you here.
Good to be here.
I'm glad you're able to make it down. And saw you in class this week and asked you, and great for you to be here. I guess one of the things to kind of start out with is why. I mean, there's a lot of students on campus. We don't have everybody here on the show, but one of the things that I found really interesting, just having class with you or whatever, is that you were an investigative reporter for over 30 years. And was all that time spent with the Associated Press or freelancing or what?
It was not with the Associated Press. It was with the National Press Club in Washington.
I see.
And then I freelanced, and I enjoyed the freelancing even more.
Now, how did you get involved with journalism or whatever? Did you go to school for that when you were younger, or what? How did you kind of get hooked into it?
I went to the University of Missouri for 1 year, dropped out, went to work for Chicago Title and Trust, and I was so bored that one day I went home and met my pregnant wife at the door and told her I had turned in my company car, I was going to start a newspaper. And she said, well, how can you do that? You have no experience. And I said, watch me. And I did, and I had that paper for 18 years, and it covered real estate, building, and banking. And that's what I specialized in the investigative reporting of bank fraud, real estate fraud.
Now, is that one that covered 3 counties at that time, or is that...
It started off, it just covered 1 county, DuPage County, Illinois. Then it spread to Kane County, then to northern Wisconsin, then to southern Wisconsin, because I used to go north to hunt.
Oh, sure,
Then we went into Iowa. And eventually I was asked to join this organization, NARE, the National Association of Real Estate Editors in Washington. And I worked my way up the ladder, and in 1984, I retired as their chairman. And that was an exciting thing, but I was too young to be told I was an elder, and I was going to go no further than that.
Right.
So I write books now.
Really? What kind of books have you written?
Oh, I
Just
read
reporting or
lots of porno.
Really? Is that a fact?
I love consumer fraud.
Uh-huh.
I've just written a rather touchy one that some people on campus have. I hope none of you are in need of my book, but I just co-authored one with Dr. Paff from Mercy Hospital on male impotence. So I hope
I don't.
I hope none of you ever need this. But with this Bobbitt thing that's on the news, that would have been a good one to investigate.
Yeah, that would have been interesting. And of course, he was cleared of all wrongdoing.
He was cleared of all things, but they're criticizing him heavily.
Yeah, but now his wife, I guess, is going to be coming up on charges of malice or something. I'm not sure exactly what.
Well, it's all his fault to begin with, because number one, I was told the other night that if he'd had a good grasp on the situation, none of this would have happened.
It could be right. Now, you've interviewed a lot of cool people over your lifetime.
A lot of the people I interviewed weren't real cool.
Well, a lot of maybe I should say interesting. Maybe
very interesting.
Maybe that's a better thing. It says here Richard Speck, who was a murderer, and you interviewed him.
He liked nurses. He murdered 7 nurses in Chicago. And while he was at Stateville, I was sent down to interview him. And it's very touchy because when you're doing that, the person you're interviewing knows that you can't use any of the information. Mm-hmm. So many times they just open up and spill their guts. They know you can't use it. And he angered me terrifically. At the end of my second interview, I wanted to reach and pull him through the bars, and I contained myself. So I thought I'd ask him a question, and I said, well, if you were released tonight, what would you do? And he smiled, and he had a Charles Manson look to him. And he smiled at me and said, well, the first thing I'd do is go get an apartment near a hospital. I really like those nurses.
Jeez.
That did it.
Kind of and you were also one of the early reporters on the Ed... Now, Ed, settle this once and for all. Because now I get down here, everybody says, well, it's Ed Gein. Now, where I'm from Richland Center, and everybody around there says it's Ed Gein. Which is it, Gein or Gein?
I've been criticized so heavily. If you're from where I am, it's Gein. And I always pronounced it Gein. And I was one of the first reporters on the scene. I went into the barn with the sheriff at the time and several other people. And Ed Gein was a very well-liked person in town. They considered him a little well-known recluse farmer. He was the town babysitter.
Jeez.
No one could believe that he had any bad intentions, excepting when we went in the barn, we found a big buck hanging from a hook, a doe hanging from a hook, and a couple of women hanging from hooks.
Wow.
And eventually we went into the house, and we were actually in there a long time. We knew something was wrong, but we didn't know what. The lampshades, the furniture, everything were made out of women. So.
Wow. Now, I'd heard at one time, and maybe this is something you can clear up, I heard that he actually had canned human flesh or
in the
refrigerator.
refrigerator.
He would invite neighbors over. They thought it was beef or whatever. It turned out to be human flesh.
That's true.
Wow.
His refrigerator had some very odd things in there. He and Jeffrey Dahmer should get together.
You've seen both sides of it. Now, which one? I mean, is there? Can you say one is worse than the other? I mean, you can't. I don't think anybody takes that.
I don't think one's worse than the other.
Are there similarities?
Neither one of them actually thought they were doing anything wrong.
Just a little mental problem.
That's what scares people when you get in that state of mind where you can do traumatic things like this, use overt gestures, and no one in town catches on. But meanwhile, all these people are disappearing.
Yeah.
And Ed Gein, when we walked him away and he was put under arrest, he wanted to go back to feed the animals and things. I mean, just totally oblivious to what was going on.
Well, if we hold that for a second, what we're going to do is we need to take a break real quick, and we're going to come back and we'll finish up there if you want to, and then we're going to, one of the stories you told in class just this week about the police, the other side of it, I think is pretty interesting too. And you've had some kind of run-ins on your reporting days, whatever.
Many.
So we will take a break, and I'll be back in just a moment with more of Dick Piper. Stay with us.
Okay, attention asthma and allergy sufferers. The following demonstration will show you how to avoid sneezing, wheezing, watery eyes, and other discomforts associated with your condition. Okay, Joe, ready when you are. First, shut out all industrial pollutants. Don't expose yourself to cigarette smoke. Avoid exhaust fumes. How you doing, Joe? Good, good. Don't breathe in any dirt. Don't breathe in any dust particles. Let's see.
Pollen.
What?
Pollen!
Oh, right. Avoid pollen. Thanks, Joe. Tree pollen and grass pollen. Don't be around ragweed. Get rid of all animal hair. Oh, gee, I'm sorry, Joe. Anyway, stay away from moles. Don't breathe the air on hot days. Boy, this must be difficult, huh, Joe? You know, there is another way. There are treatments available, and they work, Joe. You should find out about them. With the right treatment, asthma and allergy sufferers can all breathe much easier. For free information, call this number.
Welcome back to Sunday Night Dick Pipe for our guest, and we even got him a Dick Tracy up
Dick
here.
Tracy.
He was kind of an investigative guy, wasn't he? We've only just got a little bit of time left, but I find it really interesting. You always hear about the bad guy side of things, the robbers, the Jeffrey Dahmers, whatever. But you had a kind of an interesting run-in with supposedly the good guys, the police. Maybe just kind of relate that story if you could.
Well, I'm not sure which story because I've told 3 this week.
The one where they smashed in the windows and stuff because they wouldn't give them the information.
I was given a nice new car, and the first day I was out on the road with it, I was investigating someone, and I was up in the Rush Street area. And when I came out the door, several police officers grabbed me and threw me on the ground, and they were threatening me. They wanted me off their case and out of the way. And they wanted information that I had just gotten, and I said I would not. And so while they held me there, one guy would start smashing my windows in and my lights, and another guy took his key and went around the car. And
wow.
That's one of the...
Now, did they pay for that, or what happened?
Sure did.
You had a recorder going in the car,
Never
right?
do that to an old redhead. Never.
You had a recorder going in the car.
I had a recorder going on my dashboard, which is a habit of mine, and the whole incident, everything said was recorded. But because the police in Chicago were so heavily tied in with other individuals, lawyers, judges and such, they wouldn't let me use that in court.
Wow.
I still won the case, though.
Well, one of the things I guess we see around here, and it's great to have you as a student on Platteville, but I think somebody who's had so many great experiences and so much experiences out in the real world, what brought you to Platteville? What made you want to come here?
I'm dumb.
Don't say
I had
that.
graduated from a junior college. I'd never had a bachelor's degree, and I married a lovely lady who was sitting up there 3 years ago,
right.
And we moved out near Galena, and a drunken driver did me in and totally incapacitated me. And instead of sitting around the house, it was suggested, why don't you go back to school? And I picked Platteville because it's 23 miles from my home, and it's set up for the handicapped rather well, I think. And I love it here. Everybody's been great. You never know who I'm going to be sitting with having coffee at the student union or what we're talking about. But I like it very much. So.
Well, and you still do a little bit of reporting, don't you? As far as owning the papers, you still have your hands in it. It's not like
I still have my hands in it, but I back away. I like to write books, and that's basically what I'm doing now. Consumer fraud is my main subject that I like. There's so many rip-offs out there. And I'm doing one. It's a survival manual for the suddenly single female, whether they're widowed or divorced, auto mechanics, credit, where are our papers.
Sure. I know my mom got divorced. She didn't know anything about the car or whatever. All of a sudden, our car burned up because of the not changing the oil. I mean, it was just that simple. So that'd be pretty cool. That'd be pretty neat to get in on.
Have you ever heard of Sandy Burkle?
Sandy Burkle? No, I don't think I ever have.
Sandy used to be Walter Jacobson's gopher for a while, Channel 2 in Chicago, and she and I were sent out on certain things. One of them was we went to 9 Amco shops in Chicago, and I removed a cotter pin out of her transmission, and 8 of them told her immediately she needed a new transmission. And on the west side in the ghetto, Madison Street, a little black man came out with his little mechanic's hat on and said, you have no problem, ma'am. She said, you got a pin missing, and I put it in. And she said, what do I owe you? And he said, nothing, and he's the only one that was allowed to stay in business.
Wow.
And then we investigated funeral homes. And she was the bereaved widow, and I was the friend, excepting she and I have warped sense of humor. And we can't look at each other. We crack up. So she had to have a veil on, and supposedly her husband wanted to be cremated. So we told the morticians this, and they wanted to sell us shoes and suits and $5,000 caskets. And That was a little morbid, but all the while we were in hysterics, but she had her veil over, and they
Right.
couldn't really catch on.
So they never knew.
No, it was different.
Well, hey, Dick, I really appreciate you coming on the show
Appreciate being
and
here.
sharing your stories. I mean, having you in class, I love it when I see you in class because I always know there's some great stories.
Todd,
coming
you're
on.
very interesting in class also.
Yeah, but probably not in the same ways that you are. See, that's the difference there. You have real neat stories to tell. I think that's really one of the neatest things about a school experience. I mean, you can read the books or whatever, but when you hear about the things that happen in real life, I think that's...
Well, I had to come here to take a course in journalism since I never had one.
30 years experience, you need a course in journalism. We're going to take one last break and then come back and wrap things up. Thanks for staying with us. You're watching Sunday Night.
Endangered species? I have a sick child to worry about.
You know, the willow tree gave us aspirin, the rosy periwinkle treatments for cancer, and the octopus makes a chemical to fight high blood pressure. But what miracle drugs will never be found if the species that provide them become extinct?
Species extinction? We've got our hands full trying to feed our family.
Food crops are made more bug and disease resistant by crossing them with wild plants. That can mean lower prices.
Look, I got a business to run.
Well, that wax he's using comes from the carnauba plant. And simple seaweeds benefit all kinds of businesses with ingredients for paints, fire extinguishers, and hundreds of foods. Fact is, there's something in nature for everyone. With countless species in jeopardy and more than 100 becoming extinct every day, can we really afford not to protect them? To learn more, call the National Wildlife Federation at 1-800-824-WILD.
And we are back here tonight, and Dick Tracy and Dick Piper, both here on the set tonight. There we go. Dick, thanks again for being
Thank
here.
you.
I really appreciate you coming.
Enjoyed it very much.
And we'll look forward to seeing you around campus.
You got it.
Coming up next week on the show, we will have Tom McCarthy, my personal barber and hair care professional, on the show to cut my hair. If you want a beard trim, come back. So we'll have him on. Also, we have a lot of surprises. Doc Lewis, our advisor for the jazz program, will be sitting in with our band here, and they'll be here, right, Tom? Is that correct? That's right. So maybe Tom and the boys will be giving us a little song along with Doc. So
Doc Lewis here,
that'll be pretty good. And lots more surprises. So all of that and much, much more coming up next Sunday. And then we take 2 weeks off from the live show. We'll have reruns over Christmas, over Thanksgiving, and over the telethon. Don't forget, telethon is coming up. Russ Hill, our director, is the head person of that. And make sure you set your calendars aside. That's the 4th and 5th for a very good cause, Wisconsin Badger Camp. So make sure you tune into TV-5 that weekend as well. So until next Sunday, this is Todd Allball saying take care, everybody. We'll see you right back here next Sunday night at 11 o'clock.